Hello friends, as you guys can see from the title, today we're doing Q&A. Get ready with Thank you guys so much for submitting your questions. I don't know how long this will be, but we're here. We're here and we're gonna wing it. Anything that I put on my face, I will put down in the description box because you guys know that once I get on a little chit chat, I always tend to forget what I'm doing on my face. So I am not gonna even try. I'm not trying anything super new or anything out of the norm. So it shouldn't be like, oh, trying new makeup, because I try to do those separately from these because I can't do two things at once because I always forget, or my videos tend to be extra long. It's customary on this channel that whenever I do a get ready with me, I tell you guys about the weather. It seems to be the thing that I love to talk about when I first do a get ready with me. So guess what, you guys? It is pouring rain, cats and dogs right now as we speak. So it is very, very gloomy out, but it's not cold, which is nice. So normally freezing rain will turn obviously into snow, but we're supposed to get rain all week. I'm not complaining because there was like 2 months worth of no rain, but still, at this point, I need to still do Christmas shopping for Mr. Man, and I have not been able to do it. So that is where I stand with that. So after this, we have today I have to do Christmas shopping. I got to do some wrapping, and because we have a birthday party tomorrow, another birthday party, and I have a Christmas concert to go to tonight. So that's the other thing we have. Okay, you guys. So obviously you're here for Q&A. I have a lot of other things to talk to you guys about, but I'm going to try to save that for the end if I go through all the questions. I didn't get a ton of questions, which is fine. You know, it is what it is. But I did want to do a Q&A because it's been a while since I've done a Q&A. And I'm sure you guys have some questions. I skimmed through them, so I haven't really gone through a ton of them, but I just wanted to acknowledge them. So let's see. Question number 1 is favorite thing about being a parent and the hardest thing about being a parent, because sometimes it's so hard. It's so hard, you know. Love you, and I can't wait for the Q&A. Thank you. I love you guys too. You guys are awesome. Let me tell you, you guys are awesome. So what's the easiest? What's my favorite thing about being a parent? Being a kid again. Doesn't that ever get like fun? I don't know. For me, I just love being a kid. I'm such a goof in general. Like, I don't take things a lot too seriously if I don't have to. That I love being a kid again. And I think that's what I love about having kids, is the fact that I kind of have an excuse to be a goofball without being judged. If that makes any sense. I love just being a kid. I don't know. There's something about it. There's something that I really do enjoy. Just having fun and not have a care in the world. It's like the best thing ever. So I think that's my favorite thing. I think the hardest thing is having your kids learn a lesson when you don't want them. Like, I don't want to see my kids go through turmoil, but I know it has to happen in order for them to grow and learn. But that's really hard, especially like when it's coming from other kids, or like in school, or them understanding certain things. It's just a little bit harder. I'm very thankful that my kids are growing up differently from how I grew up, because I, for many circumstances, had to grow up quick. Like, I didn't really have a childhood. I was the oldest, obviously, so that came with a lot of responsibilities, and unfortunately, even more responsibilities were thrown on me at a young age. So I felt like I never really had a childhood. I think my childhood ended like at the age of 6. I kid you not, because that's when like my life changed and circumstances changed, and the way I was being raised and spoken to changed. And a lot of adults in my life, unfortunately, are just, they were very mean and verbally abusive. So I had to, like, my shield had to come up. So I'm happy that my kids don't have to do that. My kids were genuinely kids. Like, they really grew up and are growing up being kids. And I love it because I love seeing, like, one of my kids is very imaginative and they love to just play. Like, just play fun stuff. It's nothing, talking with characters, stuffed animals, imagining things. It's just so much fun to see them being kids and being able to hang out with their friends and not have to stress about adult stuff, because that eventually will come with time. But for now, they get to be with kids and act like a kid. So I think that's my favorite part and the hardest part at the same time, where I don't want them to go through too much, but it's difficult sometimes watching them struggle, but I have to let them struggle in order for them to learn. The whole point of being a parent is to have your child grow up and be able to live without you. I know that's very harsh, but it's the truth, because we all don't live forever. Death is inevitable. So my goal is to prep my children that the day that we are not here, Mr. Man and I, they can live on their own 2 feet. And I always remind them that their siblings are the longest and the strongest relationship they'll ever have. So make sure you take good care of each other. So that's what I would say. I know it's a very long answer, but my answer. Question number 2, what field do you work in? Do you like it? Okay, so I mentioned this before. I have a degree in business and I work with numbers, and I love working with numbers. Like, it's funny how I'll get people that'll look at me like, how did you remember that? I'm really good at numbers, guys. I'm really good at remembering numbers. I'm really good at, like, I remember my house lines from being a kid. I mean, my only 2 house lines growing up, I still remember them. I still to this day remember them. I can remember bank accounts. I can remember, I don't know, that sounds scary. I can remember amounts in general, addresses, that kind of stuff. But if I meet somebody, it takes me forever to remember your name. I'm just terrible at names. I'm terrible at, like, other things. But if your name is associated with a number, or like you tell me where you live, I'll remember where you live, but I don't remember your name. It's funny. But that's how I've always been. So I work with numbers and I really do like it. I don't want to say exactly what I do or where I work, because I don't, obviously, for privacy reasons. But yes, I work with numbers. I'm pretty good at it. And I think part of that is because English is my second language. Terrible at reading and writing. And I think it has to do with the fact that English is my second language. So, and the fact that growing up, I had no help. Like, I was my own help. If I didn't get help from a teacher, I had to figure it out on my own, because of my parents not knowing the language either. And not for a while did my parents care to learn the language. So for a long time, I was an interpreter as well as a kid. So when they finally decided to go to school to learn English, like professionally, I was already a teenager. And by then, things like, you have things set already in motion. So I still didn't get any help. I started to do everything on my own. So English and writing was just so hard for me. I just didn't care to write about stuff. I didn't want to explain the story. I didn't want to, it wasn't exciting to me. And math is universal. So 20% of 50 is the same thing, and no matter what language you speak. So this is why I was just so much better at math. And I still am. I really do like math. So I know people, whenever I tell people, I'm like, oh, I really do like when they work at a profession or something, I actually have had people say, are you just saying that? I'm like, no, I have a degree in a math thing. And then they're like, oh, okay. They think I'm joking when I'm like, oh, like if I meet a math teacher or something, oh, I love math. And they're like, are you just BSing me? I'm like, no, I'm not BSing you. So I do enjoy, if YouTube ever ends up not doing, like if I don't ever decide to continue this side hustle, like I'd continue with my degree. I really do like it. I'm really good at it. I was always good at it. And as long as my brain is sharp, I can always do the job. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't, my degree isn't a physical degree where I would need to be a certain age to do it. As long as my brain is going, I can do the job. So I'm pretty good. Mr. Man, let's just say Mr. Man, every time he tells me how much tip should I leave, my brain is like, yes, because he can't do that. He's not good at math. He's an awesome writer. I am not. Let me see. Why did you start YouTube? When did you start project panning? Okay, so I'm going to do a whole video about my project panning journey because I want to talk to you guys about that. But you guys, just to let you know, I did look back. I did look back on my YouTube journey, and guys, in 2025, it'll be 10 years that I've been project panning. Videos on my channel and all that stuff. So it's been a long time, me project panning. So I'm going to do a whole video on that coming up soon. So you guys will hear the whole spiel on that. But yes, I have been project panning now for 10 years. I remember it started out about 11 years ago as a tag. It was a tag video. And then a community started with it. So hopefully I can do my brows while I'm talking to you guys. So yeah, I've been doing it now for 10 years. I can't believe it. Like, and that is something that I just wanted to look up this year just because of certain feelings I've been getting. And I'm like, how long have I been doing this? And I'm like, holy moly, 10 years. 10 years ago, next year, is when I posted my very first video. Now, obviously, it's been more than that with that tag video, but I don't consider that tag video an actual project pan because it was more like a tag, a challenge per se, but then it grew into this whole entire community, which I think is pretty cool that it did that. And then why did you start YouTube? It was funny because when I first started this, I already had a mortgage, I already had a child, and I just realizing that I wasn't doing anything for myself. It was always about my family, and I wanted an outlet just to do for me that was fun, because I didn't want to get into this rut of being miserable. Not that my kids or my family life was going to get miserable, but I just didn't want to get into like this whole entire routine and then, oh, Alex, so what is it that you like to do for fun? And I'm like, I don't know, clean my house kind of thing. You know what I mean? Not that some people do enjoy that. But I wanted to look at something. And I remember at that time, my hair was all wonky. So my sister had said, why don't you go on YouTube? And I'm like, huh? And you guys know I'm not into electronics. So I never even thought of looking online for anything. So as soon as I started looking up hair tutorials, it opened up my eyes to makeup tutorials. And I've always been into beauty, but I've never had the the confidence to wear makeup and not care about what other people think because of the way that I grew up. It was never about me. It was always about everyone else kind of thing. So I said, you know what? I don't care. And I'm the type of person that I'm a risk taker. So if I think I want to do something, I just do it. Like, you know how you always hear that advice, oh, just start YouTube channel, don't think about it. That is me as a person. Like, if there's something that interests me, I just want to do it. I don't think about it twice. I don't think about the consequence, which that's where Mr. Man comes in, because he is my thought, my little voice in my brain saying, well, how about we do this, or let's wait for this, because I'm just like, let's do it. Nope, let's go. So that's how my YouTube channel happened. I didn't even tell Mr. Man. My sister told me. I fell in love with it, and I said, I want to do this. I remember it was during the summertime, and 6 months later, I had already opened up my channel, and I decided to figure it out. And I, at the time, had a old school camcorder, and that's what I used. I had a mirror that you clamped to something because I didn't have any mirrors. So I had to clamp it onto something in order for me to look at the back of the camcorder, because it didn't have a viewfinder. So I had to figure that out. And then luckily, I only had one kid at the time, so we had a spare bedroom. So I used a spare bedroom for that. And I used whatever makeup I had at the time. And I just rolled with it. I didn't know where I was going, what direction I was doing. I had no idea about anything. I just wanted to do it. I knew I just wanted to do it, so I just started doing it. And it's been a lot of fun, a lot of trial and error. Mr. Man has always been very supportive of it, which is nice. He's never been like, oh, really? Nope. If I told him, like, I really want this, he's the one that bought me my first vanity, which I still have in my basement. My oldest now uses it to do her hair and stuff. So that is still kicking. It is broken, but it is still kicking strong, you guys. So I still have my old school vanity, my very first one. So that thing is over 10 years old. But yeah, that's how I started my YouTube journey. And I've been rolling with it ever since. What was your first eyeshadow palette that you ever bought? What started the addiction? Okay. So I have mentioned this before. When I started makeup, I never bought palettes. I always had pigments. So my first pigments were all from Bare Minerals. That's what I used all the time. I remember my first eyeshadow palette. We were on vacation to Baltimore, Maryland with I think I only had one child. Yes, I only had one child at the time. And we went to Baltimore, Maryland to go over the summer to just have a family vacation. There was an Urban Outfitters there, and I saw this Stila palette. And it had blues in there. I don't know what possessed me to buy this. It had eyeshadows and a blush in there, I believe. And I purchased it. So that technically was like my first eyeshadow palette. It had like silvers and blues. I thought it was really pretty. The outside had like flowers. It kind of looked like lotuses or like peonies. Or peonies, whatever you say, however you want to say it. So that was my first technically eyeshadow palette. My aunt was a makeup artist, so I always had higher end makeup, and not because I'm snooty fanooty, but she would always give me like duos from Estee Lauder, Lancome quad samples, that kind of stuff, but I never had full-blown eyeshadow palettes. So yeah, I ended up getting that as my first eyeshadow palette. And then I like the fact that I can have it. And then as I watch more tutorials, I didn't have much color. I didn't have much makeup. So that's where technically the addiction started, where I wanted to recreate looks but didn't have the shadows to do it. So then I would purchase palettes that had the colors in it, and then it just spiraled from there because I've always been an eyeshadow junkie. It just opened my eyes to palettes because before YouTube, I had no palettes. I only had singles. So that puts it in perspective for you guys. If you could have a collaboration with any makeup brand, what makeup brand would it be? Also, what kind of products would you put into your collab? Okay, so if I ever did a makeup collab, my number one brand, you guys know I've always said this before, I've never been shy about it, has been MAC. I love MAC. I can always do a full face of MAC, and that's the only brand in my collection that I can say I could do a full face of one brand. That's the only brand I own everything from because I just love it that much. It's just so universal. It flatters everyone. It just goes for everyone. It's very inclusive. It's my favorite brand. It grew into my favorite brand. So if I were to do a collab, it would be with MAC because I feel like it would be timeless. It would work for everyone. Formulas are amazing. There's a formula for everything, for everyone. So I think that I would definitely do MAC. And what would I do? Obviously an eyeshadow palette. Or I would actually bring back their pressed pigments. Oh my goodness. Or I would do pigments with them. Oh my gosh. Yes, I would do something with the eyes. Definitely would want to bring back their pressed pigments. Their baked eyeshadows. I think I would do something with that. I think that would be so cool. I used to have a baked eyeshadow from them in the color blue, yes. But I would definitely do something of that nature with them. Maybe some eyeshadow collection, eyeliner, colorful mascaras, something to do with the eyes. You guys know I'm always drawn to the eyes. So I would do something with eyeshadows when it comes to them. It would be so neat. Not that it would ever happen. Never say never, but they ain't looking at me. Please, they ain't looking at me. They have pro makeup artists have been working for them for decades, and they have never come out with something. They would pick me. I don't think so. But that would be neat. I would be definitely cool because I would be all about it. Story time. How did you meet your husband? What are your other hobbies besides makeup? Okay, so my other hobbies besides makeup is baking. I love to bake. I love to be in the kitchen. I love to try new recipes. I love to cook. And that has grown for me because of my kids, seeing them excited about new dishes or things that they can help me with. My grandmother, amazing chef. Like, not that that was her profession, but I mean, like, my grandmother could whip up anything that you had in the fridge. So she was always inspiring for me, but I never had a reason to cook. Not that you need to, but for me, I needed a reason to really get into it. And my kids, after they started to develop a taste bud, is when I started to get into to cooking, and I love it. I love it. I love seeing the excitement on their faces when I whip something up that they love or that I did. So I love that. I am done with my makeup, but I told you guys I was gonna finish telling you or answering questions. I'm just gonna put this on my lips. So yeah, I have that. I love gardening. Gardening is my other passion. In our old house, I only garden a bunch of flower bushes, like flower gardens. And I did it mainly to repopulate the bees and the hummingbirds. And I love seeing birds. So I mainly did flower gardens here in this home. I have flower gardens, and I have expanded now to a vegetable and fruit garden, which I love. I love gardening. I love to sit out there, just finagle in the dirt, in the sun, looking to see how my plants are growing. I have such a good green thumb too. I inherited that from my grandmother as well, that it's a true passion, and I do enjoy gardening a lot. I always tell Mr. Man that if I were to ever win the millions, I'd pay off all my debt. You would always catch me outside in a sundress with a summer hat gardening, sitting in my garden, putting a bench over there, just relaxing. Like, that would be perfection to me. I would be happy with that. If I could turn my backyard into a wildlife for insects and bees and have all different kinds of native plants in my backyard, I would so do it. I would so do it, but that would be cutting a lot of trees, and I don't want to do that either. But it would be such an awesome thing to do, because that would be something I'd do. Like, that is something that I would love to do. Give back to, and just, it's so peaceful, you guys. I love being outside. It's so peaceful. It's peace of mind. My thought process is just so much more clear, and I also feel closer to God. Like, that's my way of being closer to God. I love sitting outside and reading my Bible. I love just sitting and listening to worship music. Like, that's my thing. I'm very simple in that sense. Like, yes, I have all this makeup and stuff, and I like to glam up and things, but truly I would sit back there and just be content. That's what I would do. How did I meet Mr. Man? So Mr. Man and I, believe it or not, Mr. Man and I both did not grow up in our area. We were both born in different areas, grew up in different areas, and then moved to the same area. He moved over to where I was in school, like in 6th grade, I think, around there. So I ended up bumping into Mr. Man in high school. Yes, we went to the same high school. No, we did not like each other. I knew of him. He knew of me. It's funny because him and I are not, well, he's more outgoing than I am, or I was in high school, but he knew me through my sister, because my sister is very, very a huge extrovert. And I knew him because he used to date this one individual whose best friend was a guy, and he liked me. So he would always hang out with me, do his thing, and like we would talk. We actually went to junior prom together. So he would tell me stories about that. Believe it or not. So I knew of him, and I'm like, oh, this guy, he's an idiot. We also worked one summer together during high school. And again, we knew of each other, but no thank you. He was like, no thank you. And then in college, I remember it was my sophomore year in college, 2 friends of mine knew of a friend who was playing soccer. And you guys know, I've always said it, I'm one of those Hispanics that do not like soccer. No. So I went because I had a car. So I drove my friends over, and that's where Mr. Man was. And then I was like, oh, who is this guy? Oh, I went to school with him. Oh yeah, really? And then that's where we actually hit it off. I went to a soccer game, and he needed a ride home. So I took him home, and that's where it all started, back in college. So yeah, we had known each other for a while, just as past spires. Like, we never really interacted in any way before that. But yeah, so we've known each other. It's funny because we had friends who knew of each other. Like I always said we were close, but far away at the same time. It's funny because looking back, I'm like, yeah, I would have never cared for you in high school. Yeah. So yeah, that's how Mr. Man and I met. And we've been together for 21 years at this point. 22 going next year. What holiday traditions have you started with your family that you hope your children continue? One of the things that we always do is I have always purchased PJs for my kids for Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. They always wear those for the holiday, and that's always fun because even as my daughter is a teenager, she still participates, and I don't care how old you are, you're still gonna do it. The other thing that we do is we pick one night, and I make hot cocoa, we get a snack, we all bundle up, and we all drive around wherever, whether it's an hour away, down the street, and we just go look at Christmas lights. That's something that we love doing. The kids enjoy it. Everyone picks a window. We all stare out. There's some that have radios attached to them. There's some that don't. It's like a tradition we've done every year. It's a lot of fun. We really, really do enjoy it. Those are the two main traditions that I can think of. Oh, and baking. My kids love to bake, so they help me bake cookies and snacks for their teachers, their bus drivers, any assistants in the classrooms, any friends. So that's another thing that we do is I let the kids just help me bake. I make sure that they're nice and clean because I know they're going away. But that's another tradition that we love to do. If you could have your own brand, what would be your first launch? Oh, goodness. That's a hard one because I definitely wouldn't do complexion products because that is very, very tough to nail down with so many different skin tones. I think that I would most likely start, surprising you guys, I would either start with lip products or eyeshadows because those are easier to do because it's just more of a preference, not necessarily an undertone kind of thing. Like whether you like it, you don't kind of, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like complexion is very, very complex. But when it comes to eyeshadow and lip products, it's more universal because then you can pick your shades, pick your tones. So I think that's where I would go with. Would I do a palette, face palette, skincare? Skincare is another hard one. I am not good at skincare, so I would not start out with skincare. I would not start out with face palettes, like I mentioned, face products, because that would be tough. I would stick to doing lip, eyes in that sense. And I don't just mean eyeshadow lips. It could be lip liner, lip gloss, lip treatments, eyeshadow primer, eyebrow things, mascara, that kind of stuff. Like I would stick to the eyes or lips first before I would even venture off to anything else on the face because that's tough. I'm probably over invested in the McMansion story. Any updates? Did it sell? Okay, you guys. All right, so something had happened, but I can't speak of it. There is an update coming, you guys. It is currently under contract. Yes, it's currently under contract. We found out that they are to close on New Year's Eve. Once they close on New Year's Eve, I have a juicy story to tell you guys. I hesitated on telling you guys because of legal reasons. I didn't want our neighborhood to get retaliated. So yeah, it was rough, you guys. Let me tell you. It's a juicy one, but like I said, once it's under contract and the family has already purchased the house, I'm going to tell you about it because it is juicy. It was scary and I have to be very sensitive about it because I am well aware of the benefit of it, but there should be certain boundaries with it. So, and that's all I'm going to say because I have to be very careful how I say because I don't want to offend anyone and I don't want anybody to think like I am insensitive because you have to look at it through my lens in order to understand why. So I'll get to that when I get to that. But right now we're waiting till next year to talk to you guys about that because I don't want to get retaliated, and if that falls through, then I'm screwed, and I don't want to do that. So we're waiting till New Year's Eve to make sure that it has sold, and then we're good to go. So I'm very thankful that it didn't sit on the market for a year like it did last time. It has only been on the market for a few months, and it's under contract. So crossing fingers, guys, it goes through. But I promise you will get ready with me telling you all about it. Last question. What is your favorite dish or baked item to make during the holidays? The kids love my purple rice. They love to do that. My favorite thing, you guys, is tamales, our tamales. So in my country, we call it naca tamales, and they're legit like heavy. You can only have one. I mean, like this, how can I describe it? It's like, I don't have anything. Okay, so if I were to put these two foundations together, this is how thick our tamales are. And it's legit. And it's so good. And it's filling. And it's heavy. And it's just like, you guys, my grandmother was the best at making them. We used to make them all the time, every holiday season. And ever since my grandmother has gotten older and couldn't do them, she did it once with me. So I kind of remember. I wanted to do it with her one more time. And I kid you not, you guys, 2 weeks we were going to do it. And then my grandmother had fallen and her health declined. So I never got a chance to do them again with her, which breaks my heart because I was already planning on bringing her in. And then 2 weeks before that date, she had fallen. And it just never panned out. So I have found videos to help me with it. I do have family members that do make it, so I can consult with them. But that is a tradition that I want to continue with my kids. It's a lot of work. And I need an army to do it if I'm going to make a lot of them. So it's only worth it to make a lot, and I need help. So that's one of my traditions, nacatamales, and I love them. I love them. I miss them. My husband is always asking me, like, can we try them? Because he loves them. My brother-in-law, obviously my in-laws are all Puerto Rican. My husband, all them. So my brother-in-law is not a fan of the Puerto Rican pasteles, but he loves ours. So I know that he'd love them too. So that is something that I would love to do again. And my kids have actually, my teenager has been asking to make them. So this is probably my cue to just do it. So I'm going to try. What do you think most people take for granted during the holidays? I think that what most people take for granted is the blessings. I feel like sometimes we forget what we have other people are praying for or asking for. So I feel like that is something we take for granted sometimes. We get so involved in the holidays situations and the parties and the purchasing and the sales and things that we forget to just take a minute and just realize the blessings that we have. Being able to wake up in the morning, having your health, the fact that I still have hair, the fact that my hair at this age is not gray. Like, thank you, Jesus, that I don't have to dye my hair right now. You know, like the little things, you guys. It's just the little things that the fact that I can sit here in the rain and film and not have to stress about, oh, I gotta work 2 jobs in order to maintain my lifestyle kind of thing. Like, I'm just very blessed. And those are the things that I do. I personally remind myself, and this is probably why I love being in nature, because it reminds me just to be thankful. Don't take the little things for granted. Be appreciative of the little things that you have. I think that's one of the main things we tend to forget. I notice it, like we get into these rhythms and we need to do this, we need to do that. And it's just like, stop for a minute and just listen to the rainfall. Do you ever just sit and listen to nature? That's one of my favorite things. This is why I'm dying for a porch, because that's what I would do. I would just sit and listen to the rain. I don't need a lot in life. I realize that I don't need a ton of things. It's just being present, being there. And part of that has also affected my social media presence, because I used to post all the time on my Instagram stories. I used to be involved, but then I just took a step back and I just wanted to be present, be in the today, just absorb and soak in each day, because you only get it one time and that's it. You ain't getting it back. So I think that's one of the things we take for granted during the holiday season. My favorite Christmas song. Oh my goodness. It's funny. I don't know if I have a favorite song. I will tell you that when I used to work like full time before I was a stay-at-home mom, Happy Holidays by Andy Williams used to come on the radio, and it would drive me up the wall. It would drive me up the wall, and then it grew on me. And I may say that might be my favorite song, because every time it comes on, my sisters call me with it on, like the speaker, or like they'll text me, your song's on, because it was like such an inside joke that Alex hated that song. She didn't like that song. Happy Holidays. And I would even make fun of it. And now it has officially grown on me. I do love that song now. So I would say maybe that might be it. I don't know. Have Yourself a Little Merry Christmas is another one that I just like, the soft ballads. I do like the old school Christmas songs. Some new songs I don't mind, but I don't like the too hip ones. I like it to be soft, relaxing, by a fireplace, drinking your hot cocoa kind of thing. Like, that's the vibe I like. My life every day is like this, that I need to calm down during the holiday season. So I like more of my old school kind of music. So yeah, I think that I would say may be my favorite song, because I can't think of it. Like, my one kid is the hippopotamus song. My Other Child is the Transylvania song. I have a story about that one to tell you guys, but that has got to be his favorite song, the instrumental one. I forget what it's called. I'll put it up on the screen, but that's another favorite in the family. So everyone has their favorite. I think that mine might be Happy Holidays. It might end up being that. I know Candy Cane Lane is another one that my kids like. So yeah, there's a few in the family, but I think that's the one that I like. All right, you guys, I have taken a lot of your time. Thank you guys so much for putting in. If I missed any questions, I'm sorry. I think I got everything off of the post. I appreciate you guys very, very much. Thank you guys for taking the time to click on the videos this holiday season. I know you guys are probably bombarded with so many videos, and I do appreciate you guys taking the time to click on mine, because I know I'm just little me over here. Thank you guys for always supporting me, for always commenting, sharing, liking my videos, engaging with me. That's the fun part about this whole entire thing, and I do appreciate it. So I will catch you guys in another video on the screen. Until then,